Many soldiers have already died or been wounded here, and a large part of the weapons is unusable. Cargo planes, due to the rope being enough, fell over the sea. Crete vacation with a difference. The occupation of Crete by German paratroopers in May 1941. Decision at Maleme. An invasion force of 22,000 men is brought up through the air without heavy weapons, with the order to conquer Crete against 42,000 strong defenders, which has tanks and artillery, but also knows the intentions of the attacker in detail. A lost battle, in which both sides demonstrated high morale, after a recent defeat, ended with the victory of the Germans. A victory, however, that was bought with horrific losses. The enterprise had not only been a leap into the unknown, but also into the uncanny. Dear visitor, a Crete vacation with a difference. For the next 7 days, I would like to show you the scenes of the hard fighting that took place here on the western part of the island in June 1941. Come with me, let's dive into history. And not just history. Crete has so much more to offer. Beautiful nature, culture and folklore. Let us also indulge our culinary delights from a great people who have been settling in this Crete for centuries. A guarantee today for unforgettable vacation days. Why did Crete have to be conquered from the air? One can also say it was the first sea-air battle in war history. Battle of the German Air Force against the Royal Navy. The British ships ruled the sea by night, the German planes the airspace by day. The Germans could not send their troops to Crete by sea without the Royal Navy preventing this. And they did. But if German planes saw enemy ships during the day, they were attacked. Crete was of strategic interest because of its geographic location. For the British as a stepping stone to North Africa and to defend Malta and Alexandria.
Aus deutscher Sicht gab es vielerlei Gründe dafür. Aber das Hauptargument war für Hitler, dass von Kreta aus Luftangriffe auf die rumänischen Erdölfelder geführt werden könnten, die für den geplanten und kurz bevorstehenden Angriff auf die Sowjetunion von kriegswichtiger Bedeutung waren. Für Hitler war Kreta nur ein Nebenkriegsschauplatz. Sein Hauptargument war die Vorbereitung zum Unternehmen Barbarossa.
Tuesday, the 20th of May 1941. The German planes are coming. Not only the fighter pilots who have been dropping their bombs on barracks, anti-aircraft and artillery positions of the British since 6 o'clock in the morning. The squadrons with the cargo planes attached flew in on a broad front. The cargo planes should land close to the target objects before the enemy has a chance to recover from the shock of the bombing and to render their anti-aircraft guns harmless, even before they can become dangerous to the Junkers planes, harming at low altitude with the parachutes.
Angriffszeit ist Mercury XY. X für den Tag 20. Mai, Y für die Uhrzeit 7:15 Uhr.
The execution and the preparation of the Crete enterprise encountered extraordinary difficulties. The problem was that the island had to be conquered before the Russian campaign. There was less than a month between Hitler's instruction to conquer Crete and the day of the attack. Airfields in the Athens area and on the Peloponnese had to be prepared immediately, getting enough jet-fuel soldiers, etc. The war plans are the first to open the battle. Since May 14th, German planes have been bombing targets on and around Crete. On the day of the attack, the Germans have total air control over the island. The German attack plan aimed at conquering the four most important points: the western part of Crete with the airfield of Maleme and the capital Chania, the Suda Bay with airfield, Rhetimnon, and in the east of Crete the airport of Heraklion. This in two waves. Wave 1, Maleme and Chania in the morning, and the second wave, Rhetimnon and Heraklion, in the afternoon. In addition, 600 aircraft, fighters and destroyers are to carry out preparatory attacks on enemy air and earth defense positions in Crete early in the morning on the day of the attack. Even before parachutes from hundreds of transport planes jump into battle, combat sailors with commandos attached to steel ropes on U-52 aircraft towered over the sea fell over their targets while gliding. Why was Crete already occupied by foreign soldiers? At the request of the British, the Greek government only allowed troops to land on Crete if fascist Italy were to attack Greece, and then they did it. After the defeat of the British on mainland Greece on the so-called Epirus front against Italy and Germany, most of the Allied expeditionary forces were evacuated to Crete. On April 3rd, Major General Bernard Freyberg, who had commanded the New Zealand division of the British Expeditionary Force in mainland Greece, was taking the command of Crete. Forewarned by Ultra information, Freyberg assumed a combined air-sea attack and placed the bulk of his troops on the north coast in the area of Maleme, Chania, Suda Bay, with the order to keep the capital, airfield and port. There were, in Maleme, the New Zealand 2nd Division, 11,500 men, including 3,400 Greeks. In Chania, Suda, various British and Australian units, 17,400 men, 930 of them Greeks. In Rhetimnon, the Australian 19th Brigade, 4,800 men, 3,200 of them Greeks. In Heraklion, the British 14th Brigade, of which 2,700 were Greeks. The 4th Company disasters begins. Most of them fly too high, and the smoke curtains from the previous bombings make visibility difficult. The closer target approach will not succeed. Far away, the glider planes touch down or crash on the rocky ground. The terrain was very unfavorable. Many soldiers have already died or been wounded here, and a large part of the weapons is unusable. Cargo planes, due to the rope being turned off, fell over the sea. Others ended up completely wrong and far from their targets. The sense of the gliders as a surprise element went completely wrong. The ETEC concept works for the 3rd Company. The 11 gliders were able to reach their destination west of the airfield and the High 107 without significant enemy fire. As soon as they jumped out of their planes, enemy fire rained down on them. The enemy sat among them in well-camouflaged positions.
Tagebuch des Obergefreiten Karl Hundel. Überall packen englische Maschinengewehre. Ich kann aber keines erkennen. Die Neuseeländer platzierten eine Kompanie auf der Höhe 107, eine zweite auf dem Westhang darunter mit der Verteidigung der wichtigen Tavronidis-Brücke und eine tief gestaffelte südöstlich der Höhe.
The blood inches is too high. On the evening of the first day of the attack, at the 3rd Company, 17 men were dead and 27 wounded. Including the plane that crashed in the sea, the company only has 42 operational men.
Irgendwo im fremden Land ziehen wir durch Stein und Sand, fern von zu Haus und vogelfrei. 100 Mann und ich bin dabei. 100 Mann und ein Befehl und ein Weg, den keiner will. Tag ein, Tag aus, wer weiß wohin, verbranntes Land. Und was ist der Sinn? Ganz allein in dunkler Nacht habe ich oft daran gedacht, dass weit von hier der Vollmond scheint und weit von mir ein Mädchen weint.